Hey, it's Darren and Eric here.
Hi, guys.
Hey, we jumping on real quick because of the crazy historical things that have taken place in the mortgage market just in the last 48 hours, really. Eric, what's going on?
Well, you've probably heard some of the news saying, hey, this is the most rates have gone up in the last, I think I heard since 1979. I don't know how far back that's talking over the past few weeks or months, but it is a historic increase from our perspective. I mean, Darren and I have been doing this for about a little over 20 years, and it's definitely one of the biggest jumps, or the biggest jump that we've seen in our time doing loans. So definitely, I think that what I would call it right now is there's a shock factor to the interest rate market, and it's causing everybody to pause and sort of take stock of where they are, where the real estate market is, and what they want to do. So
yeah, without a doubt. I mean, we've just watched those rates go up super quick, and a lot of people are kind of freaking out about it just a little bit, but not necessarily all bad. I mean, the market always hits an equilibrium for sure, but let's talk about the downsides first. So if you're what are the problems this will cause, and then we'll talk about maybe some of the positive things that it can also create.
Yeah, so I think right now we're talking with a lot of realtors, and they are feeling the pinch immediately. For example, they're having to decrease some of the prices on the homes that they're offering. The buyers that they have right now, the current buyers, if they were qualified at, say, a different rate, maybe a point or two lower, that same buyer may not be qualified or willing to pay the higher rate. And so they're like I said, first, they're second guessing their decision and maybe pausing for a minute. And I think that's probably the biggest downside is right now in the moment, there's a shock factor to the rates. And so people pause, and doesn't necessarily mean those people aren't going to go through with a buy. So I know it's kind of a little disconcerting for agents and sellers right now, probably. So the biggest downside, I think, right now is that they're having a hard time with the current crop of buyers that are looking at the homes that they have. Problem.
Yeah, that's a good point. Long term, markets always equalize,
right?
Without a doubt. I mean, what did they say? Just as sure as the sun comes up in the morning, I've heard economists say, the markets will equalize. And we've seen such a heavy run up in prices just in the last 18 months, 24 months. It's been, I mean, everybody we've talked to, even you and I, as we've discussed, we just think, well, my goodness, who can afford these homes? And right. And so a spike in interest rates at first blush actually may seem like a double whammy. Now, who can really afford these home prices? But we're talking about in the moment. So let's talk about how maybe the higher interest rates right now may do some equalizing for us and may actually in the long run help us out.
Yeah, so there's a couple things that'll happen probably. We're all trying to gaze into a crystal ball and figure this stuff out, right? But a couple things will happen. One of them, likely, with a higher interest rate, the whole reason they put rates higher is to cool down the economy, right? It's too hot. Home values were too hot, so they're trying to cool that down. So that's the first thing is, instead of you having to, let's say you're buying a home, let's say you just graduated from college, you're 25, you just got a good job, and you're trying to buy real estate, and you are going to buy anyway. You want to buy a home, whether the rate is 3% or whatever, 6%, you're going to just buy a home. And so what you're probably going to end up doing is you're probably going to get a little bit better price with these rates higher, because the market will flatten out, maybe drop. Who knows? Maybe it'll drop a little bit. No one really knows what will happen yet, but you'll get a little bit better price. You'll have a little bit more negotiation. Maybe you'll be able to get some closing costs out of the seller. Maybe you'll be able to, take down that price that they're offering just a little bit, but you'll get a little bit more help, which is something you haven't gotten in years, right? I mean,
yeah, as a buyer, absolutely.
As a buyer, sellers have owned it and the builders have owned it. And so you'll have that going for you. The other thing is when you get a loan, it's typically a 30-year loan. Most people that start out get a 30-year loan, but it's not permanent, right? You can switch it out at some point. And so the other positive is it's helping equalize the real estate market so you can more easily get into a home without having to compete with 40 or 50 different offers and offer $50,000, right? I mean, it's been tough on buyers for the last several years. So to me, I see that as a huge positive, is that it's going to be, yes, the rate's going to be higher, but the price may come down just a touch, and it'll be a little bit easier to actually get under contract to buy the home you want. And there'll be more inventory. I just heard from an agent that there's about over 7,000. I don't know what area he was looking at, maybe Utah County, maybe I'm not sure, but there's 7,000 homes on the market, whereas a year ago it was about 1,700. That's huge. That's a big increase. So a little more inventory to choose from is another benefit of this.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, you know what? We see those rates go up and we get all the alerts and our phones start buzzing and people are freaking out. Oh no, rates are really, really going up. But I actually looked at my wife last night and thought, you know what? If prices equalize a little bit and maybe even come down, man, maybe it'll be a good time to jump in and buy an investment property or two, if it's possible. So because to your point, the price of the home is fairly critical because that stays with you forever. The loan itself can totally change. In fact, I was thinking about some of the now more senior generation. They always bring up, the rates they paid in the 80s, like, we got our first house at 18%. And then what happened? Well, then we refied to 12. Oh, okay, cool. That's still high. Then what happened? Oh, we refied to 8. Oh, okay. Then what happened? Oh, we kept refining. So, if I was able to find like you were saying, I think that's such a great point. If I was able to find a really perfect house for the situation that I was looking in, and it was the perfect price, then the more I would do almost whatever it would take to get it, even if the rates were higher at the time, because I know that I could possibly have the opportunity to change that mortgage out to something more favorable later. And as part of that, if we do ease into a recession in the next 12, 24 months, that type of thing, then it is highly likely that interest rates will start to decline again. So the market always ebbs and flows. So that's why we always talk about, make sure that the house itself is what you're looking for. And then we always work the finance package to fit your needs.
Yeah, so true. So true. And in terms of qualifying, the actual qualifying, it's gotten more difficult with higher rates for sure. It's a little more challenging, but the fundamentals of qualifying haven't changed. So I think what's going to happen is let's take that college student again who just graduated and got the job. Instead of getting this home, they'll get this home, right? They're going to qualify for probably a little bit less, but I'm putting myself back in that time frame, and I wouldn't have panicked because I wouldn't have known any better, right? The rate is the rate, and that's what's being offered, and you just sort of accept what it is. And so in our industry, if we're a real estate agent or a loan officer, or if we are a buyer or a seller, I think we have to be careful not to hit the panic button, because life will go on. You take a step forward and people will still buy homes. They might just not buy as expensive a home as they were going to, but it may not, and this buyer may not be able to handle that exact home they're under contract for, but there's maybe another one out there. There's probably another one out there that will fit them in with this rate. So it sounds like I'm spinning a little bit, but it is the reality. There's always I think you said it, there's always a silver lining to these things.
Yeah, volatility always creates opportunity one way or the other. Now, it might not be the right opportunity for you, but it might. But volatility always creates opportunity.
Yeah. So exciting times, though.
Yeah.
No question there.
Historic times. I think the last time we saw rates move like this, I was still wetting the bed. But it was a long time ago, though. I mean, back in the 70s.
I was trying to do the math and just, but
Yeah. It may have been into the 80s too. I can't remember that far back.
well, I'm sure your mom knows.
Let's get her on. All right, cool. So next step. So if you're a home buyer or out there, what advice would you give to home buyers? And then we'll sign off.
Yeah. So if you've already gotten pre-qualified, definitely get pre-qualified with current and don't accept the pre-qualification from last week. That's the first advice. But it might, adjustable rates might come into play here. They haven't been, for the most part, there's a few exceptions out there, but for the most part, they haven't been as good as these fixed rates, but they might come into play a little bit. So ask about adjustable rates. Be open to looking at other options. Maybe if you're looking at a single family, maybe look at a townhome, maybe even a condo if that works.
Or a place, house with a basement apartment or something like that too. All sorts of options.
That's true.
And other products, as we see, and we talk about this equalization in the market, you'll start to see other mortgage products pop up that may help reduce payments and help first-time homebuyers, for example, or who knows. But it seems to always happen. There's always equalization. People are always trying to look at ways to help people buy homes.
Yeah, that's a good point. Without going too into the weeds, there is one program that's been gone for years, but that just recently came back. I know with at least one of our lenders, and I've heard a couple of builders using it. That's called the 2-1 buy down. Remember that one?
That's been a long
time. And it's you prepay, basically you or the seller helps prepay interest for the next couple of years so that your payment is lower for really low the first year, pretty low the second year, and where it should be the third year. So it sort of helps people ease into their mortgage payment. So that was something we used effectively in 99, 2000, 2001, and it sort of just went away. But that's another option. Another thing that people can do is we've seen people families join, and you talked about finding a room to rent out. Well, sometimes families kind of join together. They'll buy a single family and split the home. And so two households in one. That's another thing that gets used. Another example.
Yeah. So, the point is interest rates are merely a component of the whole thing.
True.
And I found that clients that focus only on the interest rate alone or just the payment or whatever, oftentimes will miss out on opportunities. So you want to make sure that you're educated on all the options and then make your decisions based on that.
Love it.
All right. Well, this is great. Good heads up. Eric's been doing this since 1999. Eric and I both have been working together in this industry since for 20 years now. So we've seen a lot of markets, and we used to get nervous, but we don't really get nervous anymore. It just is what it is. You just go to the next thing. So if you're looking to get pre-approved, or you're looking to buy a home, or you've got some questions, you have game plans that you want to work out, book a call with us. All you got to do is go to sweetmortgagedeals.com. We've got some free goodies there on the website that you're welcome to download or check out, other videos and things like that. And then book a call, and you'll get a chat with Eric or Nathan, a member of our team, and walk through all of these things, and we'll help lay out an awesome game plan for you. So
absolutely.
All right, Mr. Halliday, thanks so much. You're awesome.